Hey guys, so this is a first part of a couple part series. I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 parts, but if you've read the title you'll know that it's all about kitchen inspections. So if you don't know already, if you're new to this channel, you will not know that I run my own business. So I have a cake business which I run from home. I started it back in like May, but I only recently had my inspection due to COVID. It was all delayed and luckily it went really well. I got 5 stars. But I'm going to be telling you all about everything you need to know because I am on a couple of cake forums on like Facebook, and that's the only reason I actually found out all the stuff I needed to know, and some of it I create myself. So in terms of like paperwork and spreadsheets, I created all my own spreadsheets because I couldn't find someone to tell me what ones I needed apart from the Safer Food Better Business. So I wanted to create a video or a series of videos that has all the information that you need basically. So today's one is just going to be about my experience. So it's going to be on the day, the inspection, and also the phone call that I had prior. Sort of, you know, we don't know when COVID is going to end, but eventually they're probably going to go back to doing all the questions in person. But they did a phone call before they inspected. It was the week of the inspection and it was about half an hour long, and they asked me a bunch of questions so that they don't have to do it in person, so it kind of limits the amount of time that they're spending at your house. So they did all that over the phone, so I'm going to go through that as well. So I'll do that first, but obviously you might not have that if you're going to be watching this in like 6 months because things might have changed. And then my other videos is going to be how to register, so where I got my logos, email addresses, social media, and the actual forms to register with your council, and going through all the stuff that you need to know, and a bit of details on like tax as well, and also choosing a name. So that is the next bit. And then I'm going to do another video on all the paperwork. Sorry if I'm looking down, I've got my phone here with all my notes on. But I'm going to do another video on all the paperwork. So I'll go through my Safer Food Better Business pack, and I'll go through all the spreadsheets that I created, and I can like show them on the screen. I'm going to do it in front of my computer so that I can go through it, but it just means I can show you all the information that you need to know rather than you guys having to figure it out, because there are a lot of questions on these cake forums where people are like, what details do I need to have? What forms do I need to have? What schedules do I need to print out? All of this stuff. And every inspection is different, so some people don't ask for certain things, but it's still better to have it. So I just want to create a series of videos that have all that information. So yeah, if I haven't rambled enough, then, and you're still here, then let's get right into it. So we're gonna start with the phone call, which happened, I think it would have been, so I got my inspection done last Friday, which is crazy. It doesn't seem like that like soon, but I had it done on the 2nd of October, and I had a phone call on the 29th. So the lady that I had, she called me, and initially she was like, can I come over today? And I was like, no. I said that I needed like some time and that I was busy, like I made up an excuse, but I just wanted to prepare. So then she came around on the Friday, and on the 29th she did a full phone call. So I'm gonna go through all the things that she asked me. So she asked me, let me just bring it up. So first of all, they asked what you bake, because obviously there's different questions and requirements for different things. You can run a takeaway company from your house if you register. I mean, that might not be right, but I'm pretty sure. So she was asking like, do you serve meat? Do you outsource to suppliers? Whereas obviously I give my products directly to a customer. And she also asked what I make, because if I'm handling meat or if I'm handling fresh cream is a different one, and also fruit, because fruit has to be washed and cream has to be kept a different way. I don't use cream at all. One, it's just easier because then I don't have to comply with those regulations as well and like worry about it. And the only thing I would use it for is either frosting, which I prefer not to. I prefer buttercream, and also for like drip cakes. So this is just some examples that you need to keep in mind, because you might think, well, I just bake cakes, but even if you're not making like, I don't know, scones and cream, you could be using cream in certain recipes. So yeah, you have to be wary of that because they will ask. And then she wanted a walkthrough of my day. So the way she wanted me to do it, she was like, on a baking day, explain to me what you do. So my routine is checking the fridge temperatures, and I write all that down. Then you check sell-by dates on your food in the fridge, so anything that is likely to have a soon sell-by date. So things like chocolate, they have, you know, a year on them, whereas what I'm checking is things like butter, eggs, milk, like all that kind of stuff. Obviously I go through the chocolate, but you don't need to be like checking that as thoroughly. You need to make sure that all of the fresh items are being checked every single day. You also don't want stuff that is going to contaminate the fridge, so even if you're not baking, you need to be checking it. So that's what I do. Then I said to her that I would clean any surfaces before I use them, just in case someone else has used it. Luckily I have a separate kitchen, so there's like the main kitchen. If you imagine a kitchen in a house, then we have an extension on that which has a dining table, and then it's also got a fridge and a worktop space, so I use all of that, so I don't have to worry about anyone else contaminating my space because it's all mine. So I went through that with her. She said, where do you keep your cleaning products? So I said, by the sink in a little tray. You can get these like carry plastic trays from like The Range, Dunelm, like loads of places, and they're just like plastic trays with little handles on. I use those, they're easy to clean, and I keep all my cleaning products in there because you don't want it to contaminate any food by being near it or leaving it on the worktop. So yeah, you're not meant to keep them by your food. So we went through that. Then she asked me about fruit. I said I don't use it, so we don't need to worry about washing a fruit. Then she asked about where my kitchen is, so they just asked for a bit of details. So she said, what is the fridge situation? So I said we have 2 fridges, one is my parents' and then one is mine and my sister's. So we share that fridge. I have half, she has half. I have the shelves and she has the drawers and one shelf. So I said that I keep my baking stuff on 2 shelves and then my personal on one, and then if I have a cake then I can make space on the top shelf. So yeah, it works like that. Hey guys, I'm just popping in quickly just to say, because I forgot and I realised this when I was editing, that you are allowed to just have one fridge. You don't have to have separate ones for personal and business, so you can store it all in one fridge. I just happen to have 2. And also I forgot to mention about the sink situation. So you are usually required to have like 2 basins. So you have one for washing up, and then you have one of the smaller basins for hand washing. But if you don't have this, then you just need to make sure you have a downstairs toilet which is accessible for hand washing. So if you don't have a double basin, then you might want to make sure that your toilet, like your downstairs toilet, is available for viewing if they come round, because then they can check where you're going to be washing your hands. But yeah, that's everything. So you just explain a bit of that just so they can see like what the fridge situation is. And I said to her that I don't eat meat, so none of my shelves are going to have raw meat on them, which is then going to contaminate potentially a cake. So then we talked about cupboard space, so that's all separate again, so that was pretty easy. Then she wanted to know, especially with COVID, how my customers get their orders. So I do contactless delivery or collection, and no one enters my premises, and that's that. Some people, if you've got like a flat, then you might need to do one of the barcodes where people can scan the test and trace, because they're entering a building, so then they might transfer it on to anyone that lives in that space. Luckily, because mine's a house, they don't need to come in for any reason. There's no foyer or anything. So yes, be mindful of that. But like, people said this to me, and until you have the conversation with them, you don't really get it, but they are just there to help you. Everything that she said that might have been like wrong was all advisory. Like, there was a few confusions with cleaning products. She asked me how many times I wash my dishcloths, and I said that I throw them out and get a new cloth 2 weeks, like every 2 weeks. And she said, no, you need to be doing it daily. And I said, no, I do wash them daily, but I completely like throw it out, get a new dishcloth, because they get stained from food colouring. And she was like, oh no, that's fine. But she didn't like tell me off when she thought that I wasn't washing them daily. She just said, oh, well, maybe you should do this. So you don't need to worry about being sort of like told off, because it's all advisory. Like, they are there to help you. They want you to succeed. And they're actually like lovely people when they come and inspect, even though they seem really, really scary before they turn up. So yes, that was customers. And then the last thing that she asked me was areas I need to clean. So it's just so that she knows that I know that I need to be cleaning these surfaces. So inside of fridge, walls, ceilings, floor, sink, oven, microwave, kettle, if you use it. You do a descaling every now and then anyway, so even if you don't necessarily use it, it's likely that you're cleaning it. Worktops, I do windows. That wasn't necessarily a requirement, I don't think, but we do it anyway. Like if you're cleaning the whole kitchen, you might as well. And then any furniture that's in there, so like we have a dining table, some people don't, so we wipe that down. We give a quick wipe to the little sofas, we have some tub chairs in there. Bins and doors and door handles because of COVID. So yeah, you need to be wiping like door handles and stuff, because then if you touch it, someone else that's touched it, maybe in your family or a friend, they have obviously passed any germs onto that. So yeah. And then the last thing, this is actually the last thing, was certificates. So she asked about my food safety and hygiene. So I'll get into this when I do the registering, but you have to have level 2 food safety and hygiene, and it's a certificate that you should get prior to registering, ideally. I mean, some people don't, but I wanted it before so that I didn't have anything to worry about. So she asked about that. I also said that I have my insurance certificate. Some people again don't have insurance. I'd recommend it, but I'll go through that in the registering video. And then she also mentioned about the allergen certificate. There's one on the Food Safety Agency, I think it's called. I know it's FSA. So they have a free allergen course. You have to pay for the level 2, but this one is free, and it's just allergens, so that's really helpful. And she said to me, like, do it, it's free, but it's not necessarily like a requirement. But I did it in like an afternoon, so I was like, at least that's done. Then I had the certificate ready for when she came and inspected. So onto the inspection. Again, all of these things may change because of COVID. It kind of makes it very difficult to give. Obviously it will be accurate, but you know, things might change depending on when you're watching this video. But I feel like for the next maybe potentially 6 to 9 months, it's probably going to be like this, because baking businesses and food businesses from home are considered very low risk, so they aren't sort of an urgent thing to get done. Which is why mine was delayed so much, because they didn't have to worry about like coronavirus being spread through food because of all the scientific studies that they've had. But not getting onto all of the details, but yeah, things may change, they may not, so I'm sorry if this isn't accurate when you're watching this video. But for the foreseeable future, it looks like it's going to be a very short inspection. Mine was 10 to 15 minutes, really, really quick, but it also depends on what the situation is in your kitchen. I think having a clean kitchen as soon as they walk in really like points you out from a crowd, if that makes sense. So she walked in, I had been cleaning for 2 days because I am quite like a like anxious person when it comes to like appointments and inspections like this. I thought it was quite a big deal. So even though people said like, don't worry about it, it'll be fine, I panicked. So I was like, right, I'm going to clean every inch of my kitchen so that there's nothing wrong with it when she arrives. So I cleaned the whole thing. There was not a cloth or plate out of place. Like everything was put away. There was nothing out. Like it was so spotless. It's still pretty clean, but it's not as like spotless. Like it just looked like a kitchen that no one lives in. Which, you know, they know is not how it's going to be, but when they come and inspect, it's nice to look that way. So she walked in and straight away she was like, amazing kitchen, like this is spotless. She was kind of shocked. And I think that that's quite good, because if you have things that are left out, I don't mean like put everything away, but if you have just like, even if it's like a plate or something, if you have stuff that's out, it can potentially put doubt in someone's mind. And then, because I've seen it on like cake forums and stuff where they say they decided to check all the cupboards. Like they check the food cupboards that you keep your like supplies in, or like ingredients, but someone said that they decided to check their normal cupboards, like for their normal food, which I didn't get. So I think if you put doubt in their mind, then they might check things that they wouldn't normally. So it's better for it to just be really, really clean and for you to be really organised, so that they think, I don't need to check because it looks spotless in here. So she said, like, really clean, looks amazing. So then she had a little look around. She went round the corner to where my kitchen is. I'll put in a little photo here, but it's just kind of an extension. So she walked around that corner and she was like, perfect. I remember you mentioned that you've got your own space. So I said, I have these drawers down here, which are all my boxes and like tapes, little bags, any decorations like flowers I keep in there. So all of that stuff is in those drawers. I also have any stickers, any business cards are all in there. And then I have my cupboards, which have all my ingredients. So I just opened those, showed her, like, I have nothing to hide. So I just opened them and I was like, here you go, here you go. Like, I opened all of them so that she didn't feel like I was just like opening one and then I'm like, are you done? So I opened all my cupboards. I was like, here's my ingredients. Here's where I keep anything that is nut free. Here's anything that has a nut allergy, or like coconut, hazelnut, like any nut allergies are kept in this tray and they're all labelled accordingly. So she was like, perfect, you label everything. Again, you don't need to do that, but I did because I read it somewhere and it wasn't a requirement, but someone like me went above and beyond and they labelled every single product and she was very impressed. So, you know, you can either do enough to get a 5, but even like I don't even know what enough is, so I couldn't tell you like, oh, you don't need to do this or you don't need to do that, because you don't know what that requirement is. You're not told like, oh, you ticked all these boxes. They just say, you know, you complied with the Safe Food Better Business, you had a clean kitchen, you were storing all your ingredients correctly, you were following regulations, all this stuff. So it's very difficult. So I want to give you all the information and hopefully you can go above and beyond and there will be no reason for them to think that you're not a 5. So yeah. So then she wanted to check the fridge. So again, I opened the fridge. I said, I feel like explaining stuff is good because I feel like if you just open a cupboard and say, look in there, then you're not keeping the conversation going. Whereas I was like, here's my fridge. I have my temperature checker there. I have a little thermometer in there. I have one for each fridge just in case I have to use my mum's. And I also have one in the freezer. So I opened that up. I was like, here's my temperature, like thermometer. And I said I record the temperatures daily when I'm baking. And then I said, this is my shelf. This shelf is for any chocolate that has nuts in it so that it's separate to the other chocolate. And then this is my personal shelf and these are my sister's. So I kind of explained it all for her. She was like, perfect, that's fine. Then she wanted to have a look through my paperwork. So I said, here's my paperwork. She had a look through. She said, so did you create all these spreadsheets? And I didn't realise that the Safer Food Better Business pack had all these spreadsheets in, but she seemed to be quite impressed because she knew that I created them and didn't just print them out of the like booklet, even though there is nothing wrong with that. I just didn't know that they were in there. And then I created my own and yeah, I ended up filling out the Safe Food Better Business, but I just didn't print out those pages because I obviously didn't need them because I already had them. So I will go through the paperwork in more detail because that is a whole separate video because there is so much paperwork. But it was, for example, things like cleaning schedule, allergy list where you list all your recipes and the allergies that are in them. Then I also had all my recipes, all of that. So she looked through, I had all my certificates printed out so she didn't have to worry that maybe I didn't have any of the qualifications. She could look through and go, she's definitely got them. So it just means that she is certain about everything that I'm saying, which is just easier. But she said that the whole point of the inspection is that they come, they look around and they check that everything that I'm saying is correct. And she said it was. So we went through all of that. She asked me a few questions about like pest control. She said obviously it's a house, so it's unlikely that you're going to have like rats in here and not know. Whereas if you have a kitchen building, I mean some people have kind of like warehouses where it's like a industrial kitchen, which you can rent. If you have that and you're not there all the time, then you might not know, so then you have to do more checks to make sure there's no pests. Whereas she said you're living in the house, so you would kind of know if something comes in, or more likely, or you would hope so. So we briefly went through that. Then she read me all the COVID information, which she has to do. So it's just about where you would clean to prevent COVID, basically. So front door handles, main door, any door handles in the house, so mainly the hallway and the kitchen, because that's where I would be when I'm baking. And then also fridge handles and sinks, so toilet sink and then the kitchen sink, just because of people washing their hands after like going out or after touching things or after, you know, getting cash from a customer, say, then that's when they're going to be touching those appliances and then it might spread. So she just wanted to check that you kind of know where you're meant to be cleaning, and she said like most of this stuff is common sense, so they're not going to be quizzing you on stuff that's difficult. It's stuff that you should know if you're running a business day to day anyway. So a lot of it I didn't struggle with at all. Yeah, so that is pretty much everything, I think. That's all I've got in my notes in terms of the actual inspection. So yeah, I mean, the only tips I can give you is, one, don't worry. But again, that's really hard because I was so worried, like so worried. When she said about coming the same day, I was like, no, because I haven't cleaned the kitchen. Like, I didn't obviously say that to her. I just said, oh, I'm working or something. But I said, oh, can you do Friday because I'm kind of busy? And it was literally because I wanted to clean the kitchen. And then I got cleaning the kitchen and I cleaned it for 2 whole days. Like, not even joking. Like 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Like cleaning the floor, the cupboards, everything. Which it worked because she said how amazing it looked, and that kind of made me feel like it was worth it. But at the same time, you don't need to be like scrubbing stuff with a toothbrush, like, but that's just my personality. So I just needed to clean it because I thought I'd rather clean everything and she's impressed than me not clean everything, thinking that she wouldn't check something and then she decides to check it. Like, I cleaned the grill even though I don't use the grill. Like, it wasn't dirty or like badly dirty, but it gets used, you know, daily. So obviously it's going to be a little bit dirty with like daily dirt. But I always clean the oven more regularly because I use it all the time. But yeah, I was like, well, I'll clean the grill because even though I don't use it for baking, if she checks it and she goes, oh, you know, the foil hasn't been changed or something, like, I don't want her to mark me down for that. So I was like, oh, I'll clean it anyway. And then she didn't even check the oven or the grill. But again, I think because it was so clean, she expected the inside of the oven to be clean because the whole, you know, kitchen was clean. So she was thinking, well, I doubt she's going to leave the oven dirty if she's cleaned this whole kitchen. But yeah, and she did say in the end, like, she said if I could give you a 5+, I would, because she said a lot of people do the bare minimum and then some people go above and beyond. And yeah, I mean, I was happy with a 5, like, but it shows you that you can get a 5 doing the average and you can also get a 5 doing the most. So yeah, that's why you can't stress too much, because if you know that you're following the procedures, the processes that you're meant to be doing, like cleaning processes, and you're keeping your kitchen clean and you have your food safety and hygiene, then you're going to know what you're doing. Like, a lot of the information is in that food safety like qualification about cleaning, cross-contamination, so you'll know all the stuff that they're asking. But I'm hoping that this was helpful anyway. So yeah, if you found this helpful, then please let me know down below, because I really enjoy talking about this, and there's going to be a lot more because there was a lot more that happened. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I am going to finish my tea because it's probably going cold. And make sure you hit the bell if you want to watch the other videos. They will be coming out next week because there's going to be a coffee break episode on Sunday. So yeah, this is going up on Friday. So you'll see the others on Tuesday and Friday next week. And then if I decide to make a 4th one, then that'll be the week after. But yeah, make sure you hit the bell to be notified about those. And give me a thumbs up if you like this video, because I want to know, because I'm really hoping that someone found it useful, because I couldn't find anything up to date on YouTube about kitchen inspections when I was getting inspected. So I'm hoping that this is helpful for someone, because I know that there's a lot of people that are backlogged. Like, there's so many people that, you know, registered in like February and they still haven't had their inspections. So if you're watching this, then I hope it goes well and good luck with your inspection. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!